Imagine this scene. A massive convention center in Dallas, packed to the rafters with thousands of cheering supporters. The air is electric, a sea of red hats and patriotic fanfare. On stage, bathed in spotlights, is one of the most powerful and polarizing figures in modern history, Donald Trump. He's in his element, commanding the room, controlling the narrative, taking no prisoners. Then, from the side, a single figure emerges. A woman in a white blazer, walking with a calm that seems almost alien in this supercharged environment. The moment Trump sees her, his speech falters. He points, his face a mix of confusion and irritation, and into the microphone, he barks, "Security! Someone take care of that." But before they can reach her, she raises a hand. She doesn't shout, she doesn't protest. She just asks for 60 seconds. And in those 60 seconds, the entire room is about to change. This was a Lone Star Leadership Forum, and honestly, no one was expecting anything groundbreaking. It was a Trump event, which meant you came for the spectacle. You came to hear him crack jokes about his rivals, fire up the base, and own the stage. The energy was exactly what you'd expect. Vendors slinging gold-plated bobbleheads, volunteers in crisp suits, and a crowd so loyal they'd follow him anywhere. Backstage, security was already on high alert. Rumors were flying that a few uninvited guests might try to make an appearance, so plainclothes agents lined the exits, their eyes scanning the crowd. Then the lights dimmed. A booming voice announced him like a heavyweight champion entering the ring. "Please welcome the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump." He walked out to a deafening roar, soaking it all in, surveying the room like a king surveying his kingdom. He launched right into his classic routine, a jab at Biden, a joke about electric cars, and the crowd loved it. It was all going exactly according to plan. And then it happened. From a press corridor on the side, she appeared, calm, silent, composed. It took the crowd a moment to even register who she was. Then you could hear the whispers ripple through the room. Is that Jasmine Crockett? Crockett, a freshman congresswoman from Dallas, was known for her sharp wit and for never backing down in a fight. But nobody, and I mean nobody, expected to see her here, in the heart of Trump country, walking in alone. Trump spotted her instantly, his train of thought derailed. "What's going on here?" he asked the crowd, squinting. Did we invite her?" The room started to rumble. Phones shot up, everyone hitting record. One man in a Stars and Stripes tie stood up and yelled, "You don't belong here." Trump waved to his security team. "Someone take care of that," he said, his voice dripping with annoyance. "She's not supposed to be here." Two guards in black suits broke from the wall and started moving toward her. This was the moment it could have turned ugly. This was the moment she could have been dragged out, another shouting match for the nightly news. But Crockett didn't flinch. She just raised her hand, palm up, and her voice cut through the tension, clear and steady. "I just want 1 minute," she said. 1 minute, and I'll leave." The air went still. You could have heard a pin drop. The security guard slowed, unsure what to do. Trump himself hesitated. Something about her calm was disarming. It wasn't a protest. It felt like a request. He leaned into the MIC, trying to reclaim the room with a laugh. "You want 60 seconds? Get a podcast." Some people chuckled, but the joke didn't quite land. The moment was too tense. Crockett didn't smile. She turned to the audience. "I'm not here to disrupt," she said. "I'm here because I still believe this country belongs to all of us, not just the people we agree with." That line hit harder than a punch. The murmuring stopped. More phones went up. Trump, clearly impatient, waved the guards forward again. "I'm not doing this. Just get her out." But then, something unexpected happened. An older woman in the front row, with gray hair and a denim jacket, stood up. She wasn't yelling. She just said it plain. "Let her speak." Then another voice from a few rows back echoed, "Yeah, let her talk." It wasn't a wave of support, just a handful of people. But it was enough. It was enough to throw the entire event off script. Too many people were filming now. Dragging her out would look bad. The situation was no longer under his control. With a look of pure reluctance, Trump finally waved his hand. "All right, Fine. He sighed into the mic. You've got 1 minute. Go ahead. Say something smart. He stepped aside. The guard stopped. The room was silent, waiting. Jasmine Crockett walked slowly toward the stage, but she didn't climb the steps or try to take the podium. She stood just below it, faced the audience, and clasped her hands. I'm not going to talk policy, she began, her voice even, because this isn't about policy anymore. It's about people. It's about how we talk to each other, how we stop listening the second we hear the other side's name. She took a breath, scanning the faces in the crowd. I grew up 10 minutes from here. I used to ride the bus past this convention center every day, never imagining I'd be standing inside it, asking for the right to speak. People leaned forward. Even Trump, arms crossed, was watching her, his expression unreadable. I'm not here to convince you of anything, she continued. I don't expect applause. I just want people to remember that we are not enemies. We are not strangers. We are Americans. And if we can't tolerate one single voice in a room that challenges us, then we've already lost more than any election. And that was it. 60 seconds. She gave a small nod, took a step back, and a thick, heavy silence fell over the room. It wasn't awkward. It was weighty. Slowly, from a back corner, a single person started clapping. Then another, and a few more. It wasn't a standing ovation, but it was real. Then a man in a red golf shirt stood up. Congresswoman, he called out, his voice clear. I don't agree with you on much, but you said that better than most people ever have. Respect. Jasmine Crockett just nodded at him. Once. Trump, caught off guard, blinked. He tried to get the train back on the tracks. Well, I think we've all had our civics lesson for the day, he said, forcing a laugh. Now, can we get back to actually fixing the country? But the spell wasn't quite broken. Someone from the center of the crowd called out, Why don't you respond to what she said? Gasps. Phones lifted again. Trump gripped the podium. I don't need to respond, he said, his voice clipped. She's got her opinion. I've got mine. And I was invited. Jasmine simply turned and walked toward the exit, quiet and composed. She didn't look for cameras. She didn't wait for a reaction. She just left, the same way she came in. But what she left behind in that room was electric. Within an hour, the grainy cell phone clips were everywhere. Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. It exploded. The video of the man in the red shirt saying respect was cut into a TikTok that hit 2 million views in just 8 hours. The reactions poured in. People who despise our politics wrote, I have to admit, that took guts. Others said, this is how you change minds. Not with noise, but with clarity. Of course, the backlash was just as swift. Commentators on the right called it a publicity stunt, a stage piece of political theater. One talk show host yelled at his audience, Wake up, people. You don't just walk into a Trump event unless someone wants you to be seen. But that narrative didn't quite stick, because if it had been staged, it would have felt polished. It would have been louder. This felt real. It felt like one person walking into a room she didn't belong in, simply asking to be heard. Backstage, Trump was furious. He wasn't used to losing control of his own stage. Who the hell cleared her? He snapped at his aides. She made our people clap for her. What the hell was that? His longtime advisor, a man known for speaking hard truths, finally said it. Sir, you didn't lose a crowd. But for 1 minute, you didn't control it either. People aren't talking about your speech. They're talking about her. Trump stared at a monitor showing a still image of Crockett's face, calm, steady, unflinching. There was a long silence. Then he leaned forward and said something that stunned his entire team. She had the room for a second. I'll give her that. He paused. I respect strategy. Doesn't mean I won't tear it down. But the story was already bigger than him. It was bigger than her. It was resonating with people who were sick of the noise. A Facebook post from a lifelong Republican in Texas went viral. He wrote, I was at that summit. I've got a Trump sticker on my F-150. But when that woman spoke, something in me just paused. I didn't agree with her, but I listened. Maybe we all need to shut up for a second and just listen again. In the days that followed, Jasmine Crockett mostly stayed quiet. Her office released a simple statement. I asked for 60 seconds. I spoke. The rest is noise. She turned down the big cable news interviews. Instead of riding the wave of fame, she went back to her district, meeting with teachers and small business owners. When her team begged her to capitalize on the momentum, she shook her head. Let people know I'm still a neighbor, she said. Not a headline. Because she knew the truth. What happened in that ballroom wasn't a victory. It was a symptom of a much larger problem. In her last interview on the subject, a young reporter asked her, "What do you want people to remember about that day?" Jasmine thought for a long moment. I want them to remember what it felt like when nobody was yelling, she said. I want them to remember that for just a minute, a room full of people who disagreed on almost everything still listened to each other. The reporter then asked, and what would you say to someone who feels like speaking up isn't worth the risk? Jasmine looked directly into the camera, her voice holding that same steady calm she had in convention center. I'd say silence is a risk, too, she said. And the longer we pretend that only the loudest voices matter, the more we lose the people who actually have something worth saying. And maybe that's the real story here. It's not about politics or who won or lost a moment. It's about the stunning power of quiet courage in a world that can't stop screaming. It's a reminder that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is not to shout louder, but to be the one voice that makes everyone else stop and listen.